Welcome back. My name is Martin Cowan. This is my course on basic economics. The first lesson is about the Luddites, and I have divided the first lesson into 3 segments. The first section was the context in which the Luddites occurred. The second part was the story of the Luddites. And the third part, this part, is my conclusions. Earlier I said, because the circumstances of the Luddites tells the story of a core issue in basic economics, I want to begin our course on basic economics with the story of the Luddites. Now let us discuss that core issue of basic economics. I quoted from Charlotte Bronte's 1849 novel, Shirley, in which she describes the mill owner whose factory is destroyed by the Luddites. Mrs. Bronte is unaware of the economic concept of the factors of production. Economics identifies 4 factors of production, and they are the entrepreneur, land, capital, and labor. In economic theory, entrepreneurs earn profits. Land earns rent. Capital earns interest, and labor earns wages. The mill owner is an entrepreneur, one of the 4 factors of production, and the most important. Bronte describes the mill owner using these adjectives: active, neat, tasteful, exact, careful, opposed to inefficiency and age, reformer, possessed of limited capital, impatient with lack of progress, and forward-looking. Without knowing the concept of an entrepreneur, Bronte exactly gives the mill owner the virtues of the entrepreneur. The mill owner remakes his factory, formerly fitted with, quote, old machinery, inefficient and out of date, end quote, into a modern, efficient factory. After the raid of the Luddites, the premises were mere blot of desolation. What the student of economics needs to appreciate is that it is the entrepreneur who sees economic opportunity, who then mobilizes the other factors of production to meet that opportunity. The entrepreneur procures and arranges land, capital, and labor to exploit an economic opportunity. Only the entrepreneur can perform this function by definition. The entrepreneur is the brains of economic activity. The entrepreneur performs his function because he expects a profit. That is, the mill owner expects to be paid for his ingenuity and his efforts. The landowner's proper attitude toward the entrepreneur ought to be one of gratitude for the opportunity to earn rent for his land. The owner of capital's proper attitude toward the entrepreneur ought to be one of gratitude for the opportunity to earn interest for his capital. Capital is money, or money turned into equipment. The laborer's proper attitude toward the entrepreneur ought to be one of gratitude for the opportunity to earn wages for his labor. The student of economics should understand that the 4 factors of production can be located in one or more individuals or groups. In other words, the self-sufficient farmer who owns his own farm and eats his own produce performs all 4 functions: entrepreneur, landowner, capitalist, and laborer. The sole proprietor, say, of a barbershop, might be the entrepreneur and the laborer only, while renting his barbershop from a landowner and leasing his equipment from a capitalist. So the core issue of basic economics that we want to learn in this lesson is the role of the entrepreneur in the production of goods and services. That's the lesson. There are 2 more issues that I want to share briefly before we conclude this first lesson in economics. Those two issues are utilitarianism and ethics. First, utilitarianism. Henry Hazlitt's book, Economics in One Lesson, teaches this one lesson. The evaluation of economic circumstances should include both immediate and long-term consequences. Let us consider the Luddites' destruction of factory equipment. Their intention, one supposes, was to coerce factory owners to employ inefficient equipment so that more workers were necessary to produce less product. The short-term results were the destruction of the capital equipment so that it could not be employed at all. The destruction of that capital equipment simultaneously destroyed the jobs that would have existed to operate that capital equipment. The long-term results, had the Luddites been successful, would have been to deprive every man, woman, and child on earth of the abundance of clothing and other cloth products that we enjoy today. In other words, the long-term results would have been more poverty. The Luddites were the spiritual children of the murderous Jacobins of the French Terror, who killed people, usually richer people, for no reason besides revenge and envy. The heirs of the murderous Jacobins are the Marxists of today, whose calling cards are violence and lies, and we call them leftists. The term leftist comes directly from the French Revolution and refers to the fact that those in favor of the revolution sat to the left of the President of the National Assembly, and those in favor of the king sat on the right. Second and final issue is ethics. Freedom is the societal condition in which property rights are protected by the rule of law. This concept is absolutely crucial to my theories. Freedom is the societal condition in which property rights are protected by the rule of law. Everyone understands private property. A person owns her body, her life, and her stuff. The understanding of property rights is as natural as one shock when one is touched or grabbed by another without permission. If one's genitals were grabbed on the street, a person would respond violently to protect her person. If one's child were grabbed on the street, a person would respond violently to protect her child. If one's purse were grabbed on the street, a person would respond violently to recover her purse, or at least call the police to respond and violently, on her behalf, recover her purse. Big or small, property rights are natural rights that everyone intuitively understands. The mill owner, who is active, neat, tasteful, exact, careful, opposed to inefficiency and age, reformer, possessed of limited capital, impatient with lack of progress, and forward-looking, who acts over years to create a modern textile factory, can be expected to respond violently to protect his property from a terrorist attack by Luddites. Economics is not ethics. Economics is a part of the science of human action. Economics does not say that which one ought to do. Economics says what are the consequences of certain actions taken and others eschewed. Economics can predict under what conditions product will increase or decrease. Ethics does say what one ought to do. The standard of ethics is the life of man as man and woman. That which sustains human life is the good. That which destroys human life is the bad. Our lesson today was about the Luddites who destroyed factory equipment from 1811 to 1813 in England in order to protect their jobs. They did not succeed. There are many, many modern manifestations of the Luddite fallacy. A great film that reflects the Luddite theme is the 1951 film The Man in the White Suit, starring Alec Guinness. I strongly recommend that you watch this film before our next lesson. Thank you again. Please tune in next time. I am Martin Cowan, and I am the author of this book, Fabian Libertarianism, 100 Years to Freedom. See you next time.